Hello students, this is Mr. Ngubo from ITB. Today I'm going to take you through to our module 2, which is human resource provision, where we are going to look at our lesson number 1. Our lesson number 1 will be covering human resource planning. We're going to use the textbook Farm Management. The publisher is from Schaik. Our chapter or module, which is human resource planning. I'm going to require from you to come with your textbook, your pen and a paper, together the facilitation summary written by Mr. Ngubo. Okay, let's move forward. Human resource planning. We are just introducing you the agricultural labor employment in terms of farm workers. Also, we are going to look at the steps of recruiting and selection for employees in agricultural sector. We're also looking for you to understand the agricultural labor employment aspects in terms of farm employees, the advantages and disadvantages, the problems in labor employment. Also, you need to understand the different types in terms of the steps for employees for agricultural sector. Right, human resource provision. Now, the first thing that you need to know is it is our lesson number 1, human resource planning. Now, what is it's all about? It involves having the right number of skilled employees to do the various job activities, right? So in this regard, we are looking for farm workers in terms of the agricultural sector. First thing that we are going to look at is agricultural labor. Labor is one of the agricultural input that is decreasing over the time in agriculture. So based on this, there is a decline in terms of agricultural labor, right? We need to look at what are the advantages or disadvantages in terms of the farm employees. Also, what are those factors that are causing the decline? All right, let's look at being a farm worker first. What are the advantages as it's having the decline? Work consists of outdoors and indoors. So, right? So, whatever activities that they are doing, they are indoors and outdoor. But most of the work, it's outside. They with plants and animals. There is work varies from season to season. So, this is advantage. Work performance can usually be measured. So, in terms of this, you can measure the performance, right? Good non-cash advantage, so they are not exposed to cash, but they are exposed to the activities. Good family life. Remember, when they say good family life, a farm worker can stay with the family in the farm, right? If you still remember that. Disadvantages, relatively low cash income, long working hours, sometimes difficult working weather conditions. Remember, they are working on the farm. Okay, sometimes far from entertainment training fields, right? Low prestige value, they are being undermined that they are just doing things with the soil. Poor prospect for promotion. So promotion, it looks difficult. So these are advantages and disadvantages of what? Of being a farm employee. Okay, let's go to number 2, what is happening in a farm. Let's look at the problems of employment in farming. The factors causing problems in the employment of employees in the farming sector. These are some of them. These are the problems. So what is happening? The first one, high unemployment levels. We have 3 bullets that we need to look at. The use of agricultural machine, the way of using chemicals, the machines that now are replacing humans, right? Or the system that is being used. We say it's a machine, it's chemicals, and the system. So those are 3 things that we can highlight in terms of high unemployed levels, that why people are not being taken to work in agriculture. 2, low productivity. What caused low productivity in terms of employment? The lack of advanced technological methods in farming. The lack of cooperation between the manager and the employees. The employees not made to feel part of the farming business. So remember, people, they won't give you high productivity if you are using the old technology. There is no cooperation between, and also they are not feeling part of it. They won't work an extra mile. Urbanization, depopulation of rural areas people to urban areas. The high level of schooling of young people. The perceptions of farm hardship work activities compared to urban. Remember, these people, they are doing a hard work. But now when you want something that is very nice and comfortable, you go to urban areas. All right, that is what we call urbanization. So people are leaving the farm, and then people, especially the young ones, are well educated. And then also the perception that is around the people that working in a farm, it's being a slave, so-called. Political influences, the land redistribution actions moving slowly, lack of adequate government farming subsidies, the lack of predominant farmers to assist the former disadvantaged farmers. We need these three things to be corrected in order for farming employment to go smooth. Okay, let's move forward. Let's look now the recruitment and selection of employees. First of all, you need to forecasting. Now, what are you checking? You're checking the things that you're gonna need in terms of the certain skills, in terms of the employees. Are the people there in the market that you want to come and do this job? Okay, before you select people, you must also look at the internal and external environments. Let's look at the internal, something within the farm. The size of the farm, the nature of the farm, the nature of a social pressure, recruitment policy, which is very, very important within your organization, the number of candidates for a certain job. So if I wanted what you call a truck driver, so maybe I've got about 20 or 200 applicants. So I just need one. It's only seat one person can sit. So if you look at this one, this picture, it shows you this farm is for animals, all right? Now, maybe these cackles, these livestock, maybe let's say it's what the farmer is having in terms of this. Now, the size of the farm, it's very small. The nature, what are you doing? The nature of the social pressure in terms of their community. The recruitment policy, what it has been written down in terms of the policy. The number of candidates wants to apply. Those are 5 internal. Let's look at the external. If you can see, we can see the trade unions that are sitting there. Maybe that is the minister. Government regulations, trade unions, economic conditions you might find in the farm. That particular year, it's drought. Technological changes, you need to improve in terms of technology. The nature of labor market. When you go to the market, you look for employees with skill, but you don't get it. All right. So these are the things that are external factors that you need to look at. Okay, let's move on. Now, we are now moving to the steps or the processes of farm employment. Right. Now, with this, these are scientific steps or processes that are used in terms of employment of farming employees. The first one that you need to do, the first one will be this one, task analysis together with work specification. You must know what do you want first. You must determine the nature of duties. Why do you want to recruit, right? Also, work specifications. What do you need in terms of the skills, in terms of the person that is coming in the organization? All right. Then you're going to start now with recruiting, which is the process of inviting potential employees to come on a farm. Then you do selection, where it's a process of choosing a job candidate available in the pool. Now, that is number 2. That's why it says recruitment and selection, because everything is happening here. This is the master of everything. Then after that, you take that particular individual. You are placing that individual, which is now you are matching in terms of this is required. Yes, it is okay. Then you can take it for employment. right? You are now applying for the induction. That particular individual needs to go for induction, which is the process of introducing new employees in the business. All right. You also look for initial training. Remember, this is the farm. The person needs to be trained, right? It's involved introduction of a new employees to a specific appointed task. If you are a truck driver, you need to have that small training. Remember, this training can be practical as well because it's initial training, right? Evaluation of methods now. Whatever that you have done, you need to evaluate, because whatever you put in, it must go out as now an output. You're checking the output. It's involved testing of methods of obtaining manpower. Now you check yourself whether what process, the way of the processes or the steps that are there, does it gives you favor or not in terms of the recruitment and selection of employees. Then we move forward. Now, let's look at the importance of recruitment. Why is it important? To ensure matching of individual competencies with farm requirements. That's why we have to do recruitment. To maintain a supply of individuals with required competencies. So now, first of all, you have to match the individual competencies, and also you need to maintain, right? What is this is happening now? So that this one will contribute to the profitability and the production of the farm business. So this is why it is important. You need to match, you need to maintain those competencies, and you also need to contribute towards the profitability or the production in terms of the farm business. Importance of induction. Why a person, a newly appointed person, needs to be inducted? To introduce a new employee to the job workplace. So that particular individual must know the type of work that is there. To ensure that the new employees become productive, you're also trying to mentor him there and there to say, we need you to be productive in terms of what? In terms of joining us. It's helped to create a realistic employee expectation. So you go to the organization, you don't know what's happening, or in a farm, then you don't know what's happening, but now it's now real. This is what we are going to do. It's helped to reduce fear of insecurity and labor turnover. Remember, labor turnover, so people are going in and out of companies, right? So you reduce that fear by giving the induction. It's promote the culture of continuous training. This is a smolanyana training that an individual will do, right? Whenever you're doing an induction, you must consider the elements. There is it. The appointment documents, you need to be there. The job position for that person. The supervisor, the manager needs to be introduced. The working areas, where are you going to work, and the toilets and everything. Business policies and procedures. Remember, we spoke about recruitment policy. Introduce the person to co-workers, to the union representatives. Organogram, you must see the organogram. How big is the business? The business layout. Remember, organogram we dealt with in our module 1, where we dealt with our lesson 3. Business layout. A person must know the buildings and stuff. Let's move forward. We also need to look at the methods or procedures of selecting. Remember, we said there, when a candidate is being on a selection, remember, recruitment and selection. Now, let's look at, if you don't want a person to come for an interview, these are the things. They normally call it in a normal business. It's where they're doing sifting, and they're also doing shortlisting, where they are doing checking everything for the best suitable candidate. These are 3 important aspects that we need to look at. Selection test, interviews, and referencing. Remember this one, where do you get it? You get it under selection, this step. This is the step that is very, very important. This is how you select, right? That the person is meeting the requirements. What are you checking? Maybe it can be scientific test to check a minimum qualification, situational test, like the experience in terms of practicals. Okay, interviews, you're checking on the interview, what are you looking at now? When you interview a person, you're looking for the employment and position to measure where this particular individual was employed and what was the position, right? You can also check the duties with the enumeration to see if this person was, for example, a supervisor in that business, and then what duties of a supervisor that particular individual was doing. Time period, how long did you work there? Why did you leave that organization? Maybe you were like terminated, not fired. Remember, we don't use the word fired. Look at references. You can have a telephone calls. Maybe these telephone calls are one to the previous employer to do what? To obtain information. The other one to confirm the statements, right? You can do these two to say this particular individual is mentioning that he has been trained on, let's say, for example, on livestock breeding, right? So you need to confirm that he has been trained for that. Right, let's also look at the aspects of recruitment policy. Remember we spoke about this? Let me check. We spoke about this. Recruitment policy. It's part of the internal factors. There is it. Let's move forward. Aspects of recruitment policy. What are you looking at in terms of this? For you, you need a suitable candidate, a current legislations, a disadvantaged group, discrimination. Your recruitment policy must speak about this. What are you saying about the suitable candidate? You must make sure that you employ the suitable candidate. You must adhere to all current labor legislations. You must give a fair and equality to privileged disadvantaged people. You must not discriminate in terms of gender, race, health, etc. All right. We also have to look at factors consideration during placing. Now, you're placing that individual. Now, what is going to tell you? This is going to tell you whether this particular employee will be a casual or will be a permanent. The present and the future needs of the firm, the employee potential to develop, the employee prospect for another task. Remember, people that are multitask, they are very, very scary. You need them in your business. Right. We're also looking at the factors or the reasons why you have to evaluate. Remember, evaluation, it's a last step. Why you need to evaluate. Relatively low productivity of labor. New people are being employed, but you're getting this. Long period of initial training. Right? You mustn't do this. Right? That's going to make you to reevaluate. High staff turnover amongst new appointed employees. People are leaving the organization. What is wrong with your selection? There's something that is not right. Dissatisfaction of supervisor concerning of new employees. People that are coming in the business. They don't give a right situation in terms of supervisors. Supervisors are not satisfied. Scarcity of more suitable employees within the farming business. So when you're doing your recruitment and selection, you need to look at these factors, that what is happening after I employ these new people. What is happening? Do I have a high productivity? Is my training within the limits? People are staying in my company. Are the supervisor happy? And do I have more manpower in terms of this? Now, let's move to the next one. This is now the checklist before the induction. So you are looking for a particular individual to come to the employment. This is what you need to do. You need to plan the checklist. Appointment, are the candidates informed? When are you going to welcome them? Are the documents ready? Working instrument, working area, the induction dates and time and the program. Who is a mentor? Who's the immediate supervisor is going to be introduced to? The co-workers and also the infrastructure. So this is just your checklist that you need to have. Let's move to the next one. Now, this is now the summary of lesson 1. This summarizes the agricultural labor in terms of advantages and disadvantages of farm workers. We cover that. And the problems of labor employment in agriculture, which is we cover that. It differentiates the internal and external environment that affects the human resource planning in terms of labor employment. We cover that. We also mentioned the internal and external. It also gives the information on 7 steps of recruitment and selection of farm employees. With the importance, we need to know the importance of these steps, the elements, their elements, the aspects of the 7 steps, and also some factors within those 7 steps, as well as the induction checklist. I think with this lesson for today, we covered a lot, where we mentioned that we look at the checklist, we look at the reasons for you to re-evaluate, and also we look at the factors, we look at the aspects or the elements of the recruitment policy that must be there. We're looking at the method and procedures on the selection. What you need to do, it can be tests, interviews, references. Okay, those 3 need to combine. We need to combine them. Right, we move to the importance of induction, the importance of recruitment, why you have to recruit people. And then these are the 7 steps: task analysis and work specification, recruitment, selection, placing, induction, initial training, evaluation. Those are the 7 steps. And then also we moved to the internal and external environments, where we look at the factors, like we mentioned, in terms of the farm, and then the external things that you cannot control. And then we look at the problems of employment in farming. We mentioned high unemployment levels, low productivity, urbanization, political influences. We also look at the disadvantages and advantages of being a farm employee. We're saying most of the work are outdoors and indoors. We also looked at the performance can be measured. It varies from season to season. You have a family with you. It does not contribute towards you having more cash. And then we also look at the disadvantages of it. Right, as I mentioned earlier on, I am Mr. Ngubo. I was taking you through our lesson 1 for the module 2, which is human resource provision, where we look at the first one, which is human resource planning. I thank you for today. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.